Here we are then. The third ODI is upon us. All of a sudden, a series that a lot of people weren't concerned about because it wasn't part of the World Super League and whatnot is assumed great importance because India are 2-0. South Africa have already won the series. I wonder what the reaction will be if they are to get a clean sweep here. The South Africans over what was supposed to be a favoured Indian side. This is ESPN Cricket for Matchday looking ahead to that third ODI with Sanjay Manjrekar and Daryll Cullinan. Toss has gone down in Cape Town. We moved from Pal to Cape Town now. India have won it. They're going to bowl first. I'd love to ask Sanjay Manjrekar why suddenly this series has assumed great importance from what I gather on social media. This is a proud Indian bunch of followers, isn't it, Sanjay? They don't like to be beaten. They certainly wouldn't like to be beaten 3-0.
Yes, and they got a bit of a shock in the test matches because that also was a series that India should have ideally won 3-0, considering all the limitations that the hosts had, with some of the senior players not available, Quinton de Kock quitting test cricket and all that, and all of them just looking for some kind of recognition at the test level, some kind of belief that they're good enough at the test level, and they go on to beat India 2-1. Highly unexpected, and the same story has panned out in the one day. So that is the reason why this series has become, a series to talk about, because it's not like India have come second string. There are quite a few, players who would make the best playing 11 in this side. So yes, South Africans have been good. They have surprised the mighty Indians, and that's why I guess there's so much talk.
Conversely, Daryll, what would a 3-0 clean sweep of a strong Indian team do for South Africa?
Well, I think it'll be tremendous news. A lot of players have been under pressure with the off-the-field sort of stuff, and now we know what's to come. It's likely that Mark Boucher won't be in his position for too much longer, but I think it's the emergence of one or two players who've really now stamped the authority. One would feel certainly in one-day cricket in South Africa, the likes of Bavuma, Van der Dussen, Shamsi as well. So there's a lot of positives, and I have no doubt that the media, South African cricket followers are really going to hone in on these positives. It has been an excellent month and a half or so of cricket for the South African team.
Now, I wonder if Sanjay Manjrekar would look at these changes that India have made, 4 of them for this ODI, and think this is perhaps the balance India should have started the series with, not wait for the dead rubber. But 4 changes. Sanjay Suryakumar Yadav plays. Also, Jayant Yadav, who you've been calling for, comes in for R. Ashwin. Deepak Char for Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And you've also got Prasidh Krishna getting a game. Shardul Thakur misses out. You like the look of this team?
Should have been done 2 matches earlier and would have made a lot more sense. Indian cricket would have been richer from the experience. And now, you're just giving one match for all these players. And I hope they're able to carry that memory into the next series and give these guys a longer rope. I don't like the fact that the much hyped Venki Iyer has been left out. I just find it, doesn't make any sense that you still keep a lot of the senior incumbents in the side, but Venkatesh Iyer in a difficult position doesn't get to bowl in the first match, bats down the order on slow pitches, not given the right platform to flourish, and he's been left out, which is unfortunate. But good to see Jayant Yadav, because I think there is something there with Jayant Yadav. With 50 overs cricket, he'll get his batting, and if he's going to be as good as Ashwin the bowler, or maybe slightly better, then he adds more value to the team. Surya Kumar Yadav, India need to find at least a couple of middle order options, because there is a lot of demand to be at the top, and there is a lot of supply as well. But India need to sort out their 4, 5, 6, 7 before the 2023 World Cup, because 2019 that was a major issue, wasn't it? India's middle order.
Daryll, one change for South Africa. I'm going to come back to some of those points Sanjay's made, but Dwayne Pretorius gets a game and Tabraiz Shamsi misses out. What does that tell us about what Temba Bavuma makes of conditions at Cape Town?
Well, I think South Africa, obviously, by their selection, want to win the series 3-0. I would have thought they would have been tempted to consider 1 or 2 more changes. I'd like to see Parnell play. He's been part of the squad. He hasn't played for a while. He's been on the scene. So let's see him have a run. But Shamsi or Maharaj, surely it should have been Shamsi. I mean, he's your match winner. He's a key player. We know come the World Cup next year. but they've opted for the more conservative type of bowler in Maharaj. So one would question that. But as for the pace attack, the batting lineup, it's clear they want to go 3-0 and they don't want to find themselves experimenting for the sake of, it would have been no doubt a discussion, but Bouch is determined to win this, and I think that's the way they've decided to go.
Yeah, well, when Parner wasn't actually available for selection, something we just heard before the start of play, that he had a bit of a stomach bug. So something for South Africa to consider. That's the only thing, Daryl. Otherwise, that's I guess the choice they've had to make to play Dwayne Pretorius. All right. Let's also discuss KL Rahul and the story of Rahul right now. Because one thing we mentioned even in our written preview to this game was India have been outbowled, out-batted. They've also been out-captained, is what we kind of alluded to. Now, Sanjay, I wonder if you've made some observations about what we're learning of KL Rahul, the leader here. There's been criticism of him in T20 cricket. He's throwing the hat in the ring, you think, to be a leader in formats with the Test cricket captaincy as well up for grabs. I wonder where he's fallen short for you in these 2 games, selection, tactically. What is it that he can look to improve on in your eye?
I've not been too impressed with the playing 11 that they've selected in all 3 matches. Venki Iyer being left out shows how, that the captain is not really looking to have a second string and some exciting options, because you need to give longer rope to these people rather than the senior incumbents that you could have easily rested. That he wants to open the innings when he's not going to be your opener, when Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan will take this position. Maybe you could have sacrificed that position to Venki Iyer. I would have liked to see that, because Virat Kohli, if you remember, had Ambati Rayudu batting at number 3 in a home series against Sri Lanka, because he felt, Rayudu could be the middle order batter that he would need, and he batted down the order as captain. Those are the kind of quality that you want to see. Also, I felt that he was being a bit too kind to the most senior stalwarts in the team. Bumrah getting a lot of bowling in the second one day when the pitch had nothing for him, when he had to get the spinners on quickly. Needs to be a little more ruthless, be a little more like Bavuma, who seems to be seizing the moment, being realistic, pragmatic, and using his bowlers optimally, which has been the most impressive thing of Bavuma. I'd like to see KL Rahul stay in the moment, be realistic, and not go by the stature of a bowler rather than current form. So be a little, what should I say, thinking on your feet. And KL Rahul, the batter, gets a bit too conservative in all matches of importance that I've seen. That also needs to change, because if KL Rahul, the captain, wants to win games, KL Rahul, the batter, must make a more of an impact.
Yeah, I mean, you almost can't have that conversation in isolation, can you, Daryl? I wonder if you've made some observations on what you make of Dave and the fact that we do see it affect the style of batting that we're known from him in all these years.
Well, I'm just a bit concerned why he's actually up the order. He's had success in the middle of the order. Sharma's back. Rohit then slots in at the top. He goes back to. So wouldn't it have been a time to have played an Iyer up front to open? I understand that that's where he's been effective. We must also understand that it's now post Virat. Virat was a very animated, very demonstrative type of captain, full of energy. The camera couldn't leave him alone. Now suddenly we've got someone who's more quieter, more reserved. And I always felt that India fed so well off Virat's energy. So that's going to be transition, a shift. Now, he can't be anything other than what he is. So it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if is he the long-term, it's a short-term action, I guess, with Rohit not available. But if that's your long-term intentions, then keep him where he is. Throw in 1 or 2 sorts of other guys. If he's next backup in terms of leader, then one perhaps can understand why he's leading. But I do sense India are in the throes, a new coach, changing in terms of leadership, trying to organize where they are, that these sorts of questions are going to arise. But as a captain, if your team's doing well, you look a brilliant captain. Bavuma has now been spoken about as a brilliant captain in a very short space of time. We knew he was potentially a good one. But when your team's winning, everyone just seems pretty good. And India right now, it's not quite happening. They're not firing. So there's a lot of questions, and invariably a lot of fingers or questions get asked about the captain.
All right. Now we left a chat from the last game to this one for this preview show, which I will bring up now. It's not like India losing the series because of Virat Kohli, but Virat Kohli is under the spotlight. He would have loved a big series in the aftermath of announcing that he doesn't want to be Test captain anymore. He's not captain in any format now. And we saw something odd, didn't we, Sanjay, in the last game? Kohli is not known to play a loose shot early on. I wonder if that dismissal in the second game told you something about where Virat Kohli may be and maybe where his mind may be with this game.
I'm glad you brought that up because ideally we couldn't talk about it in the last game. There were far more other, relevant things to talk about. But that dismissal in isolation, and I'd love to hear Daryll as well after I make my observation. Virat Kohli getting out to a ball that seemed innocuous, pitched up. He's one of the greatest cover drivers in the game, and he just sort of got sucked into, played it, and in the end, it seemed like a one-handed, drive that he played and led the scene. So that for me was a confirmation of the fact that we've all sensed that he's going through a really tough time as a player, where the self-confidence, which has been huge, I mean, his self-confidence is his greatest strength. That seems to have been scarred a little bit. And that particular shot, in the way he got out, was a reaffirmation to me that confidence of Virat Kohli, his greatest strength, is just letting him down a little. We saw signs of that during the IPL. The way he bats in Test matches is clearly Virat Kohli not at the peak of his game, but the mind has always been very strong. The last Test match he hung in there, got a 70 and a 20. The mind was out there, not so much the skills, but that last inning dismissal was very interesting and lots to read from that particular dismissal.
Daryll, thoughts?
He seemed to, when he let the top hand go with the bat, almost as if to suggest that the ball had stopped on him or something like that. But I don't think so. He just got through the shot too early, which shows often as a batter, you're not present. You're not right there. I would have imagined Virat just looking to defend that, even coming down the wicket to defend it. But there is clearly things that are on his mind. A lot has been speculated about it. He's just relinquished the captaincy. He's got to work through that, find his place where and how does he now go forward with a leadership role anymore in Indian cricket. I think the best thing for Virat now is he needs a break, probably a month or so away from the game, go and reinvent himself, decide for himself, look, how much do I really want this? Do I want to play much longer? And then start to probably plan the second part of his career. I think also the change in the coaching personnel also had an impact on his decision. I was, after the Newlands incident where we saw his behavior there, I wonder, had he also not said, fine, Ravi supported him blindly. Virat could do anything. And I was thinking, how does Rahul Dravid now align himself with that? Because Rahul's the gentleman and Rahul never played his cricket like that. And maybe there was also the final nail that said to Virat, look, it's now for different leadership, different guys to move on. And I think he's been very smart. You don't want to hold on it too long. I like the fact that he was given the opportunity to end it on his terms. No doubt, I think he was unhappy about what happened between him and the BCCI. But I can't help thinking, get this over with Virat, take a break, and let's see a new Virat and how he's going to play, because he's out of the spotlight, he's out of the leadership. And often I found in a team, when you've got such a dynamic captain who's still in the 11, it's tough on the captain. It's the younger players or those emerging, where do they look? So it's going to take a lot of Virat's quiet time. And let's see what comes out of all of us. I hope it's an even better player, which I think is very, very possible.
I just want to make one point, Raunak, and it's something that I just want to bring up. I've not said this before on a public platform, because I love to just assess, players, their evolution and everything. It's one of the fascinating things, of the game, and that's the job. It's not about whether it's Virat Kohli or Tendulkar. The one aspect, and Daryll is another very keen student of batting. I want to see whether the power game of Virat Kohli, whether that has changed in the last couple of years. You don't see those powerful shots from Virat Kohli anymore. He was never a guy who hit every ball out of the ground, but at will could hit the sixes. His boundary, I mean, shots along the ground, also packed a punch. Whether that's got something to do with self confidence, I don't know, but that's something I'm focusing on off late to see
Hmm.
whether the power game is still with Virat Kohli.
Hmm. Interesting, isn't it? We did hear Sanjay even mention when Kohli had resigned to Test captaincy, this change of coaching staff that Daryl points out, whether it's just taken him out of his comfort zone a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for Virat Kohli. But boy, if he can sign off with a big score, thankfully in a chase, he prefers the chases, does Virat Kohli. Let's see if he gets a big one today, and then we'll have a different sort of conversation about him. Now, how much do South Africa need to post to try and make this challenging for India? We're at Cape Town now, Daryl, from Pal. I've always tried to make sense of what captains head tosses about pitches, and every time I hear the word sticky wicket, I still can't understand what the captain's trying to say. That's what KL Rahul says about this Newland surface, where 300 odd has been scored comfortably in the past. Thoughts on what a good score would be?
I think what the groundsman's gone and done here, because it's been so hot. We're in the midst of a serious heat wave here, temperatures above 40. He probably gave it a bit more of a sprinkle last night and maybe ever so slight touch
True.
up a few hours this morning. I think he would have had no choice. I think probably that's what Cahill has seen in there. But, Newlands has never really deteriorated in a day game. It might just slow up a little bit, but take a little bit of turn. But during a day game, it's generally been a good wicket throughout. So it's probably not a bad option. And South Africa, let's bear in mind, have chased down very, very comfortably. And maybe India felt, look, let's try and turn it around. Let's see how we chase, and let's see if South Africa can defend that. But I don't make too much of the toss. There may just be a little bit in the beginning, maybe enough to get the dangerous de Kock out. But either way, I don't think it's necessarily going to impact on the outcome of this game.
Sanjay, the way South Africa batted last game, they batted with a bit of swagger, didn't they? They really made a statement to India's bowlers, who are now in a different sort of look and combination. And today, KL Rahul doesn't need to worry about a six bowler. He has exactly five bowling options. Something South Africa's batters, you think, would keep in mind?
This shows a little bit of confusion as well because they stressed so much on that sixth bowling option, and they had one, very good one in Venki Iyer if he was used properly and promoted properly. But now they've gone back to five. But this is a completely different bowling lineup. I like this bowling attack a lot better than the one that we had in the first couple of games, where Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Ashwin were, part of that 5 or 6 bowling options. And this is you'll find out that these two will be making life a little more difficult to the for the opposition. I expect Deepak Chahar to make more of an impression than Bhuvaneshwar Kumar did. Shardul Thakur is an interesting one. Got the runs, but as a bowler, does he command a place purely on his bowling in 50 overs cricket? One wonder. So it'll be interesting to see Prasidh Krishna. He's played 3 matches, all against England and at home. Tough games for him. So this is a great opportunity.
All right, let's see how many South Africa get, and we shall pick up the chat with Sanjay Manjrekar and Daryll Cullinan at halftime. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Big game this. You think it's a dead rubber in an inconsequential bilateral series? I put that in quotes. But if India are to lose 3-0, you think there'd be some sort of reaction as their white ball cricket continues to evolve with a couple of World Cups over the next 2 years. There's also an ODI series against the West Indies coming up next month. So you'd think some sort of decisions will be made as a result of this going into that. Keep an eye out for individuals. There have been 4 changes from India. And we, of course, will be back with Sanjay and Daryll on ESPN Cricket for Match Day at the end of South Africa's innings. Join us then.